Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Sunday night once again, so that means next episode of Doctor Who. Once Upon Time, Chapter 3 of Flux. I'm being a little quick with the intros here because, well, it's actually quite late. It took me a while to actually watch the episode just due to life getting in the way, and, that happens. Which, it is okay. It's a thing that happens. Um, but, once upon... So, if you don't know the drill, this is my immediate reaction right after watching the episode. So, obviously, no clips, and no restraint on spoilers. So, if you haven't seen this episode or the two previous episodes of Doctor Who Flux, this is your time to get away. Get away now. Yes. So, oddly enough, we seem to be on a winning streak with Flux. This and the last episode have all been great. Quite interesting. I'm actually enjoying Doctor Who a lot. Series 12 was fine. 11 was, I think, slightly better, but Flux each episode just seems to be not quite knocking it out of the park, but just telling a good story. Like, it doesn't. We haven't gotten like the best thing ever yet, but we've definitely played up, especially with this episode of let's do something. Now, I've seen some people compare this to Fugitive of the Jadoon, in that there's a lot of setup, and there is setup for more payoff, but in that setup, unlike Fugitive of the Jadoon and even Timeless Children, one, it doesn't feel like it doesn't feel like that 40 minutes of exposition, even though that is kind of what the episode is. It is exposition. It's exposition heavy, but the exposition actually does a better job of showing and not telling. It's let's explore essentially the pasts of not only the Doctor, because surprise, Joe Martin's back. We get to see Joe Martin again, but we also get to explore Vinder, and actually a little bit of Dan. If there's one character who actually doesn't get a lot of exploration, that's Yaz. Though you do see some familial bits of her with her sister, who I didn't realize just played the 12th Doctor's new companion in Big Finish. Same actress. Who knew? Small world. And Yaz is more like... Yaz is a bit of the... bit of the episode is actually kind of... perhaps feels more like set up like, ooh, we're building up the Weeping Angels, because it actually builds up to what the cliffhanger is, which is this great cliffhanger of the Weeping Angel in the TARDIS, and the Weeping Angel taking control of the TARDIS. Like, the TARDIS has already been on the ropes, and we're not dealing with that, so that means the lights are flashing. So even if the characters aren't blinking, they're not going to be seeing the angel when we get to the pitch dark scenes, and the pitch dark bits, which I really quite like. Those bits are really good and really interesting. It means next week. It's a great hook for next week, and I also think this as an episode is a very nice midpoint for Flux. I kind of want to compare it to the Daleks Master Plan, because after episode 6 of Daleks Master Plan, there was kind of a similar lull in the action. And that's about the amount of time that's passed with these first 3 episodes. And I think actually using that and using the latter half to shift to, like, actually stopping Swarm and Azure, because they're here, and we actually understand sort of what their plan is. I think the whole idea is that they're trying to destroy the universe to start a new one. And there's this interesting scene with this mysterious character, who people are saying is the White Guardian, though this character, I think, got a credit as Alsok or Azsok. She's played, I'm fairly certain that's Barbara Flynn in the role, according to the credits, based on sort of the picture that TARDIS Wiki has of the actress. That's where my brain goes. So I don't think it's going to be a White Guardian, but this is essentially sort of jumping through a bunch of time streams. So the actual title "Once Upon Time" is actually kind of clever. It's very fun um, that we are going with this idea to just go jump around a time stream, play around with time, let the time play around. And the big reveal of Joe Martin being back, I'll admit I had it spoiled just because I I was on the internet during the day. Well, this was airing in the UK. I couldn't do a total blackout, so I got that spoiled. But it was actually really nice. Um, it was really nice to see. Um, it's really nice to see Joe Martin again, and she actually was really good. It's more cameo like, and there's more hints that her doctor is the fugitive doctor is going to be a past doctor. I'm still kind of hoping that they make her 14 and it turns out this is just stuff she hasn't done yet. Um, but what I especially like is that um, it it's something that the I think the episode did mainly for COVID to keep the cast down. You basically had, as the doctor's exploring just the time streams of herself and other characters, um, she, Vinder, Yaz, and Dan are taking up roles in the flashbacks. We do get some guest cast members, um, and actually, I think the most interesting is probably Vinder's, where you see he's missing away, and he was a pilot. He eventually, took a position protecting this character called the Grand Serpent, and in sort of, I guess, one moment of poor judgment, feels responsible for the deaths of 5 people. Also, possibly, it's implied possibly that he feels at least partially responsible for the Flux releasing. So, and we see his planet at the end, and it's completely destroyed. And throughout this episode, we're actually seeing a character called Belle, who is essentially his partner, and she's carrying his unborn child, which is it's it's kind of sweet. That's interestingly, her plot is Belle's plot is just sort of there, just so the viewer can sort of see the universe. Like we're the ideas that we're trying to see. We're seeing we're seeing the effects of the universe. We see Daleks, we see Cybermen, all in cameos, in kind of interesting cameos. I'm wondering if again the Dalek cameos there for the simple reasons of being a of being a story, just to fill that contractual obligation of having to have the Daleks in the show, and that's actually sort of a bit where the episode does fall flat. Some of the visuals, they're not bad, but the Daleks especially look really ropey, and the big group shot of Cybermen also just doesn't look as good. I think that's more because there's just so much CGI used in this series, and I don't blame them. It's not too much. And I will say the director, Azure Salim, I think I'm pronouncing that right. He's directing this episode and then episodes 5 and 6 of Flux, because they just broke it up into 2 blocks, which we're trying to preserve things. But this does do, I think, a fairly good job of bringing things together. This feels like the point where if we're going to have a big drop-off in viewership, it's going to be here, because this actually feels like sort of an ending, like moving into the second part in sort of the same way as, like, Frontier in Space and Planet of the Daleks is split up as 2 separate stories. And the next episode all being co-written by... being co-written by Maxine Alderton. is kind of telling. It's definitely kind of telling that that's a decision. Um, it's a different. It's a very different idea. And it's playing off something I think that's good, and I think it's actually going to help keep the momentum of this series going. Um, Finally, actually, I want to kind of talk about John Lewis, John Bishop as Dan Lewis. I can't speak tonight. You can tell I'm tired. Um, uh, he's really, really solid in in the episode. He has this charm. We're exploring his relationship with Diane, and she's, kind of, she's a character, and I think in the next time trailer, she's shows up. So it's because possibly, or that might be Claire from the first episode, because you had the character who was sent back in time. We have something just a little different. This is also an episode where you can definitely theorize, um, basically because it's one of those one of those things. Um, we're gonna have, I think, yeah, it's gonna be Claire who's gonna be back in the next episode, so we're gonna see things moving forward. So that's fun. Yeah, but yeah, this overall was just it was solid. It was good. It was a lot of fun. And actually, it was better than Fugitive of the Dune in that we actually had a full plot that wasn't just set up. We actually did get some answers to some of the questions, even if the answers aren't perfect answers. Um, so that that being said, um, let me know what you thought of Once Upon Time in the comments down below. Um, if you disagree with me, if you agree with me, please leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already. And obviously, join me next week when we take a look at. I think what's chapter 4 of Flux, which is what, Village of the Angels.